We Live in Time, which is a non-linear love story from Irish director John Crowley, who made Intermission in 2003, Brooklyn 2015, written by playwright and screenwriter Nick Payne, who got a Tony nomination for Constellations in 2015, an Olivier nomination for Elegy in 2016. Benedict Cumberbatch is an exec producer. Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh star as Tobias and Alma. He is a Weetabix rep. She's a chef. They meet after she hits him with her car, although because the central device of the narrative is that it is non-linear, you don't immediately know that. In fact, you originally think that he was distracted and stepped into the road because he was getting divorced from Alma. But we then find out when they meet after he wakes up in the hospital that this is the first time they've met. Here's the clip.
This was all you had on you. The chocolate orange was pronounced dead at the scene. I'm Alma, by the way.
Alma.
Alma.
Tobias. So sorry, but do we know each other?
And at that point, you think, oh, either they're meeting for the first time or he's got amnesia. And then you realize that what's happening is that you're seeing the story in different order. And the rest of the film then plays out in similarly time-shifted fashion. We see in rearranged order their meeting, their courtship, their talk of differing plans for their life together, her battle with ovarian cancer, his battle dealing with her battle, her question over whether to have treatment or just to live the best life possible for whatever time she has left, the balance between life goals, personal goals. So it's one of those films in which all of these things are happening at the same time because of the way in which the narrative is time shifted. The central performances are extremely engaging. I mean, I think that Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield do a great job of convincing us that they are this chalk and cheese pair who find common goal despite very, very different approaches to life, that there is something between them. There is a real spark. I mean, it reminded me of that film I've talked about a lot, Only You, which has got Josh O'Connor and Like Oster in it. And there is something about their relationship that you really believe these are two people who meet and there is something there. There is something intangible, but it's a real spark. And I think this has that. This isn't as good as Only You, but very few things are, because I think Only You is one of the great indie movies of recent years. But it does have that romantic magic element that gets you completely invested in their relationship and wanting their relationship, wanting only the best for their relationship. Also, there is a comparison in that Only You tackled the sort of similarly thorny issue of children and which of the parties want children or can have children, or, you know, how does that affect two people who have just met and fallen in love, and what does it mean to be having those conversations fairly early on? As for the non-linear thing, I had heard some critics complaining that it was a gimmick. We were talking recently about Better Man, the Robbie Williams thing, and saying, well, you know, is the fact that he's rendered as a chimpanzee, is it a gimmick? I said, it's not a gimmick. Actually, it works. I mean, it is a gimmick, but it's a gimmick that works. In the case of this, there are times, I think, that the time-shifting thing is used for slightly clunky dramatic purposes, like you think that he's been run over because he was distracted by her, but then you find out they haven't met. And I think those things ring slightly oddly. But actually what the time-shifting thing does is it allows the film to deal with some very complicated and often, you know, things filled with grief in a manner that is lively and vibrant, and somehow injects a sense of a very tangible, really alive relationship into the different phases of this story. So it's not just that there is a narrative arc that goes from they meet and everything's exciting and then things get difficult. I also like the fact that it felt quite, I mean this is a compliment, or it doesn't sound like one, it felt like quite an incidental movie. I mean, the fact that it was released in the awards corridor is a problem because it kind of puts a spotlight on things. I think that this is the kind of film that would be best experienced by stumbling upon it. It's the kind of film which, if I was going to the late night at the Phoenix and it was just on and I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I liked Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh, and I would have been really, really charmed by it. I mean, it's not Past Lives, and again, few things are, but if it was just, like I said, if it was just stumbled upon incidentally, I think you'd find it really, really charming. So it's not without flaws, but there are things in it that are very, very tenderly done. And there are moments between the two leads that I thought really captured genuine love on screen.
Will it be making your possible end of year 3.5
for next year?
No, this year. It's a Happy New Year, Mark. Happy New Year. So
yes, for this year. Sorry, this year.
Here we are in
so
2025. Is it a possible 3.5 for the end of the year?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, it is.